entire CF community. We're grateful for your dedication and commitment. And now please welcome to the stage Don Warner, who is going to present this year's Angela Warner Friend of the Foundation Award. Don.
I'm not afraid of getting older. I'm one less day from dying young. I see the light go past my shoulder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Don said, my name is Don Warner, and I'm the father of Angela Warner, for whom this award is named. Since 2003, this award has been presented in honor of Angela, who lost her battle with cystic fibrosis that year at the age of 21. But Angela lived a vibrant life. She was loving, beautiful, intelligent, kind, and her smile could captivate a room. But like all CF patients, she lived with the heavy burden of medical care that fighting CF requires. She lived with the fear of a shortened life expectancy, and she lived in hope that a cure would be found in her lifetime. She lived with great courage. But a cure, unfortunately, was not found during her life. However, today that hope for a cure is getting very close to becoming reality, and the burdens of care and the fears of early death are being lessened. This wonderful night is about finishing the job, bringing the cure from a hope to a reality. Angela would be all for that. This year's Angela Warner Friend of the Foundation Award goes to fellow CF parents, Chuck and Ann Johnson. Chuck and Ann dove into helping the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation immediately after their daughter Jackie was diagnosed in 1995. That diagnosis was followed by another diagnosis for their son Cooper. Chuck and Ann have donated, fundraised, volunteered, chaired events, served on boards, walked, climbed, biked, and danced for a cure. Their passion for this cause and this community has not changed one bit over the last 25 years. I ask that you please draw your attention to the screen as we will share with you the story of the 2019 Angela Warner Friend of the Foundation Award recipients, Chuck and Ann Johnson.
To cure a disease, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. We need the best technology, we need the best researchers, the best physicians, but you really have no chance at combating this disease or curing it without money. So that's why fundraising is so important. It leads to the research, that leads to the therapies that add tomorrows, and ultimately one day will provide a cure for CF. Chuck and Ann Johnson and their family, they've been fundraising for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation for 25 years, going back to 1995, right after Jackie, their firstborn, their daughter, was diagnosed with CF.
Jackie was born in Wisconsin, and at that time, Wisconsin and Colorado were the only two states that tested for CF at birth.
I can remember getting that call and just being in a fog in the office and just kind of cleaning up, didn't talk to anybody. Walked to the elevator, got on the elevator, and just kind of collapsed to the floor.
It was not in our family before. We had no idea that my parents were carriers, so I think it was a bit of a shock to them, but it was we're very thankful that I got that early diagnosis. 2 years later, my brother was diagnosed as well when he was born.
So Cooper, he's born 2 years later, and obviously at that point in time, we know all about cystic fibrosis, and we know the odds. The odds are 1 in 4 that Cooper could have it. And you weigh that in before you decide that, can you take care of 2 kids with CF? And we were doing well with Jackie, so we said, yeah, we can do that.
I was tested right at birth, so within 2 days or whatever of me being born, we knew that I had CF, which is a very fortunate situation. At the time, I was the youngest person to use the vest and start that treatment, which is virtually the same as the treatment we do today. So that probably played a factor in keeping me healthy throughout my whole life.
wherever we could, we'd try to get involved and at least participate, just Ann and I. Even better yet, when we could get, make the ask again and go to our friends and find some friends that would join us in those events. We have been involved, I think, in just about every event the CF Foundation has hosted.
It was just a family affair from there on out. My parents dove in as soon as they found out I was diagnosed. I can't remember a time in my life when the CF Foundation wasn't a part of our family life. I just feel really grateful, I guess, to have the parents and the family that I do. I wouldn't be as healthy as I am today without them, and I wouldn't be as confident in myself and as at peace with such a devastating disease if it wasn't for the mindset they instilled in us. I'm really proud of my family and what they've done, and I'm excited to continue to work with the CF Foundation and take my part in whatever I can do in the future as well.
Again, it's the influence of the Johnsons has gone beyond just what Chuck and Ann have fundraised, which is fairly substantial. Over the course of that 25 years, have raised close to $1 million, but even beyond that, the people that they brought in to the foundation, Chuck hooked me up with a lawyer friend of his who now heads up one of our young professional programs. So there is the fundraising and the donations, which are substantial, again, close to $1 million. However, their influence in bringing in their circles and their peers and friends and family to get involved in this goes beyond that. So they have been immeasurable in really, what I would say, helping us build our chapter here in Minnesota and the Dakotas.
I didn't feel like I was the right person. We see these people making all these wonderful donations and being involved in different things, and we are involved, but that's just kind of what we do. This is normal. This is what we just feel we need to do. It's for our kids.
Chuck, Ann, Jackie, Cooper, thank you so much for what you've done over all these years. Congratulations on winning the Angela Warner Award.
Very honored. I'm looking forward to the night and seeing all of our CF families and accepting the award.
I'm not afraid of getting older.
Please welcome to the stage Chuck and Ann Johnson.
I see the light go past my shoulder. I'm one less day from dying young, and I've seen my friends fall away before their time, and I've been afraid that I may follow in their light. So I drink and love and whisper all the things I know are right. Someday I will leave this world, but maybe not tonight. I'm not afraid of getting older. I'm one less day from dying young, when I see the light.
There's a point in that video where a balding, clean-shaven, goofy-looking man speaks to the moment he first learned that his baby girl may have cystic fibrosis. I was at the office, I got the call. One moment you've got this smiling, plump, completely bald, but adorable little girl who's seemingly perfectly healthy. In the next moment, your reality is something very, very different. I didn't talk to anybody because I didn't think I could speak. Eventually, I made my way to that elevator. I was weak-kneed, and I just kind of crumbled to the floor. And I prayed. I think the first thing I prayed for was that the elevator doors wouldn't open again until I hit ground floor and was standing. But I prayed. I asked for God's help. I asked for God to help Jackie. I asked for God to help Ann and I asked for help. And for 25 years, that's all Ann and I have ever done. We've asked for help. You want to know the secret sauce to our fundraising? It's about one ounce of tenacity and about 100 pounds of humility. You learn very early on that pride doesn't have a place in this. You learn very early on that this is not a journey that you can walk alone. We needed help. We asked for help, and for 25 years, time and time again, year after year, sometimes multiple times each year, our family, our friends, friends of friends, friends of friends of friends, sometimes complete strangers, answered the call. Ann and I are both a little bit uncomfortable about accepting this award. A coworker of mine asked me about that, and I said, well, imagine if there was a brilliant surgeon that invented this new life-saving surgery, and the Nobel Committee is so enamored with it that they decide they want to recognize her achievement by awarding the Nobel Prize in Medicine to the patients that she had saved. That's Ann and I. We're the patients. The real heroes tonight, the surgeons, if you will, are you guys sitting out there in that audience. Now, CF can be an ugly, terrible disease. But there are ancillary blessings that come along with it. I think Ann and Cooper and Jackie would all give different answers to this. But for me, it's the magic of being continually reminded about how kind and generous people are. You know, the older I get, the less cynical I become and the less skeptical I am. Because it's impossible to be cynical and skeptical when you're constantly bearing witness and on the receiving end of so many acts of kindness. In the neighborhood I grew up in, there was a woman named Ardell Lewis. Ardell was 5'0", always had a smile, sparkle in her eye, and a kind word to say to everybody. Ardell, like most of the neighbors in my old hood, religiously donated to our cause from day one. A handful of years ago, Ardell took ill. She eventually ended up in hospice, and she passed away. A few days after her passing, I made my morning trek down to the mailbox to get the newspaper. I'm still old school. And I grabbed the mail from the day before, and I make my way back up to the house, and there's an envelope that's made out to the Jackie Cooper team. It's our walk team. I open it up, and I pull out a check. And I'm holding that check, and I'm doing this. My hands are doing this. The check is from Ardell. Now, I know her kids found that, after she had passed and they mailed it. But think about that. Here's a woman who knew she did not have much time left. She's ill, she's hurting, and yet one of her final acts is to do something that makes a difference in this world. This world is filled with Ardells. This room tonight is filled with Ardells. People are amazing. I hope you all appreciate you're part of one of the greatest stories ever told in medicine. We are going to cure a genetic disease that's never been done before. We're going to do it. We're not there yet, but we're on the 5-yard line. Cousins got the ball, and Rudolph's wide open in the end zone. And think about this. Cystic fibrosis, CF, we're just an orphan disease. There's only 35,000 patients inflicted with this disease in the country. 35,000 only. Yet together, we are moving medical mountains. Incredible. On a personal note, for Ann and I, when I reflect on where we were 25 years ago to where we are today, it's been life-changing. Our greatest role in life is being parents to Jackie and Cooper. You want to know what you've meant to us 25 years ago and for several years after that? CF, it meant living with the knowledge. This is blunt and this is simple, but it meant living with the knowledge that someday we may have to bury our children. To where we are today, where we live with the absolute confidence that we will never need to see that day. So if a CF mom or a CF dad or a CF grandparent, uncle, aunt, brother, sister, if they say thank you to you, do not be dismissal of the role you have played. Do not say, oh, it was nothing. Because for us, it has meant everything. 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 Look at nights like tonight are an opportunity to hit pause, to reflect, to give thanks. 25 years ago, I crumbled to the floor in an elevator. I asked God for help. It's only now, when I look back over the decades, that I fully appreciate. God sent the cavalry. He sent all of you. And we're so very grateful. So tonight, Ann and I are honored to keep this beautiful memento in safekeeping for all of you folks. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Chuck and Ann, and congratulations on receiving that well-deserved award. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for how you made us feel important in your lives. Now I want to bring out a special guest to help us with tonight's live auction. You might recognize her from earlier in the evening. She was out selling the rose pins. So I would like you to please welcome my cohort for this evening, Ella Waterworth.